team, 53-28 today over UC Davis. A win with a lot of new faces out there, and it showed at times. But the bottom line is you got the win.
Yeah, all fair statements. Kind of a mixed bag across the board. Did a lot of really good things and did a bunch of things that hopefully will kind of be, head slapping kind of moments on film that will correct immediately. Alignment things, obviously the kicking game was kind of a boom or bust NASDAQ type of situation for us. Didn't run a ton of plays offensively. Part of that was good with the short fields. A couple, return game, Jalen Jelp's turnover, and then a couple of those were, just not executing well, but just a lot of growth and development will take place here in the next couple of days and go from here.
You talked about it before you went at halftime, kind of hit and miss offensively, a little bit of a slow start as it got going, and yet that's maybe to be expected just from the standpoint. I know somebody, I didn't turn my phone off. It was one of those starts where it was tough to get into rhythm, and UC Davis was doing some things, it looked like, coming at you with various blitzes to confuse some young offensive linemen.
Yeah, it was, it's not great when the young buck jumps the first play of the game because, it goes from turnover and then first play penalty. That's not obviously the way you script it, but at the same time, let's see how we react from it. I thought the only real, effort play that was a big time issue was we didn't rush one of the kicks and we got after them pretty good, and then they came back and blocked one another. So from an effort standpoint, we were solid. But again, a million details, ball handling, communication. They did some good stuff. A lot of that stuff we faced throughout fall camp, and so just kind of hopefully we can chalk it up to first outing mistakes and not repeat them.
But the way that you ended the first half and began the second half was really important. Defense gets you the ball back inside 2 minutes, you get a touchdown, and then you open up the second half with a quick touchdown was really important in the flow of this game.
It was, and then unfortunately, let that happen right back at us. So I can't remember what we scored the first, 14 minutes left or 13 something, and I think they scored 12 something, and so we have to hold serve there and kind of get the crowd back into it and frenzy them a little bit, but we didn't do that. But again, a lot of great stuff to learn from.
Troy Dye, true freshman, and really stood out defensively, made a lot of big plays, 11 total tackles, a sack, 4 tackles for loss. He was a guy that was very active out there and disrupted a lot of things.
Yeah, Troy's a really good football player, and I think another guy, true freshman, just has nothing but his best in front of him as he'll develop from just a maturity standpoint, physically and emotionally, psychologically, and we love his future. He'll be on the field a bunch.
And Springs and Amadi, I thought for the most part on the outside played pretty well, put in a lot of one-on-one situations. They broke a couple of big plays on you, but for the most part those guys were in on every play.
Yeah, for the most part, had some single high coverage issues that we need to clean up, and some of that was on the safeties, some of that's on the corners, and all of it's on us as coaches to get corrected. And that's the good thing about this team and this staff is we're all in this thing together, and there's a bunch of guys in there that are excited to get their first win, but at the same time, there's not one guy in there that's satisfied, and so hopefully nobody is at this point in the season, but I think it's a good energy, urgency in there right now.
How'd you feel about Dakota Prukop's performance today? I mean, statistically, looked good, missed some things that were there, but at the same time, managed the offense pretty well.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. I thought he had the touchdown to Jalen Brown was a really good through the progression type of read. That was about the fourth guy in the progression, and we had a couple times where number one is open and still wide open, and we either didn't throw it to him or had the one big overthrow to Darren that would have put things away. But another guy his best football's in him too, and now we know how he thinks and reacts in game time situations. So that gives us a solid footing going forward.
And you talk about all those things, which is great, in a win type of situation too. And so this next week you go back to work, you improve, week 1 to week 2, week 2 to week 3 when it gets here. And that's going to be important because Virginia comes to town and then Nebraska after that, but Virginia first and even a better team.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly from a talent standpoint, a lot different and when we played out there, I thought that was one of the tallest football teams I've ever seen in my life when we played out at Virginia. And, you know, those guys that were there, those coaches that were there, if there are, I don't know, you know, will certainly be thinking about that as they prepare. But that, you know, that can't affect our preparation at all. And we've just got to focus on all these tens of thousands, if not millions, of things that we can correct and fix and do and not do in the coming weeks.
Okay, Coach. Well, thanks for your time here after the game. Oregon takes on and beats UC Davis 53-28, 1-0 on the season. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thank you.
All right, Jerry, back up to you.
All right, questions for Coach Helfrich. Right over here. Ryan Thurl, or not Ryan Thurl.
Close
Ryan
enough.
Thorburn on the right.
Mark, with so much newness at coordinator, quarterback, O-line, all of the defense, were you expecting a boom or bust game as you described, or were you disappointed by that?
I don't think you're ever, I don't know, disappointment really can't enter your realm, right? You have to fix things or do more of, less of, all those things. You can't, for lack of a better word, pout. You know, we get a 3-and-out, created a 3-and-out early and drop the first punt. I would bet my mortgage and, you know, everything I have on Charles Nelson every time out. You know, that guy's going to make a million plays for us, and he didn't make one, then he made several, and then he tried to make maybe more out of what was there on one and turned it over. And but you know, that's another guy that's anxious to be back out there and make up for some of the things toward the end of last year that he's and he's a proud competitive dude. You know, I didn't think from an effort standpoint. I thought we were, you know, solid, and there were just 1,000 other things that we can clean up that literally will, that happens a bunch in the first game, whether you're a veteran or not. Just the head slapping. I can't believe I did that type of moments. Some of those, you know, we had some veterans make some penalties that were key and critical. Had veterans that gave up contain. So, you know, just own it and move forward.
Right back here. Matt, did you have your hand up? Yeah. Matt on the left.
Obviously, you guys thought highly of Troy Dye going into this game, starting it, but could you envision him coming out and performing the way he did?
Troy Dye, that's how he's been every single day at practice. He's just you know, a football player, and that's the dumbest. I hate it when people said that, and I just said it. He's, you know, special teams wise, plays his tail off, both as a scout team player and as a real life performer. Just everything he does in individual drills, he competes his face off, and he'll hit you. And so he's a guy that we've been very, very excited about since the day he got here.
On the right, Andrew.
The offensive line was already young, then Cam gets hurt. What did you think of the protection as the game went along and some of the jitters wore their way out defensive line? Okay.
You know, some of that was schematic that wasn't on the offensive line. Some of that was, whether, you know, again, that's all on us as coaches, but there were some other factors involved there. Cam's fine. And you know, again, a mixed bag. There's 5 guys, and they moved constantly on them, and we never really settled down. We tried to settle them down, just some of the scheme stuff we did toward the end of the first half and early in the second half that was good, and had a couple big runs.
On the left, AJ.
Coach, what was your thought process on whether or not to put in Justin Herbert towards the end of this game, and when?
Yeah, that we were kind of in that weird zone, you know, 3-score game, whatever, a fumbled snap or something that could go awry. You know, obviously, if we had our pick, we would have got him in there earlier, but that didn't happen, and so we got him in there for the cameo there at the end of the curtain call.
Back right, Kristen.
Back here, not looking at the tape yet, what were your first impressions of the 4-3? Did you think it was successful at all? Still some things to work out?
Sometimes we were in 3-4. Sometimes we were, you know, yeah, I thought, again, operationally, we just didn't get gapped out all the time, and you know, led to some of the big runs with the fly sweep action and the power. There's a lot of moving parts there that you know, certainly other teams will do against us going forward, and so we'll get that ironed out. Most of that, again, is very, very, you know, simple on the chalkboard, simple on the tape to look at and understand what's going on. It's not just, hey, this guy got physically outmatched, something like that.
Back left, Matt again.
Brady Hope talked about how going into this game, he would know if the defensive line had a good game, if it got pressure, hold, contain. How do you feel like those guys did with so many new faces starting and in the rotation?
Very difficult to answer without watching the tape. I think at times when we got to the quarterback, some of it was zone pressure, some of it was additional rushers. You'd love to be able to get there with 3 and 4 and those types of things. I think we're capable of that as guys. A guy like Jalen Jelks or some of these other guys that have put pressure on the quarterback in the past are very capable of doing that in the future.
Steve Greatwood's going to be in the back left. Hannah, right up here, please. Warren.
Mark, game one, do you come away, where you talked about all of the things that you need to clean up, but do you come away encouraged or maybe a bit discouraged being
Both.
this team practiced well?
Both. I think you have to, right? In any situation, there's a bunch of stuff that we did great. Our punt operation, I don't think we gave up a yard in the return game, which is our goal. Is 0 yards. Hang on, let me check myself. That's correct. And a bunch of those things, but then you turn the ball over on special teams, which is the exact opposite of an impact play that we want to make. We went into this game with some high hopes of the return game and having a couple touchdowns, which we're almost there, but almost isn't good enough. So, yeah, across the board, there's good and bad in everything.
Tyson, on the right.
It's super easy to overreact when the guy has, a couple catches for a decent amount of yards, but Johnny Munt today had probably as many yards as he's had the last 2 years combined. Is that just something that we can chalk up to a one-off game, or is he going to be kind of more involved in?
Johnny had by far his best fall camp of his career this camp, and that's one of those things you just never know what the lightning in the bottle moment is for a guy of his senior year. I don't know. That's where we try to get those guys to think urgency from the beginning of their career. But he's had a spectacular fall camp, and going forward, hopefully he'll be able to be involved in a big way.
Charles Nelson is in the confessional area, back on the back right.
Confession.
Hey, Coach, you talked about Dakota kind of missing some reads. What was your impression about his overall play today?
Solid. I thought he did some. Again, we just want those guys to. The analogy we always use is make layups. Make the routine play over and over again, and we expect them to. The great play comes out of the byproduct of a bunch of routine plays. And he had a couple that were great, and he had a couple that immediately afterward he's going, oh shoot, I shoulda, or obviously the missed throws are easy as far as like the one over Darren. That's something we just need to get our eyes somewhere faster, but encouraged.
Up here on the left, Austin.
Mark, first time in a long time it wasn't a sellout here. For anybody who watched today and is maybe unsure what to expect from you guys the rest of the way, what would sort of be your message?
I'm unsure too, and it's exciting. I would say, a guy like talking about Troy Dye or Dakota or Charles, or Royce Freeman's worth the price of admission for anything. The type of person he is, Johnny Reagan, and just a great person in every realm. And I know college football is a tough business these days in a lot of ways. There's HD TV, and everybody likes their cold beverages and their man caves and all that stuff, but there's nothing like seeing those guys in person, and the atmosphere was great today for an early season game without the students and all those things. The band was awesome, the student section was awesome, and hopefully they'll come out next week.
We good? All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.